Yay, it's another werehog level. Isn't that great, guys? So now we're going into Holoska Night. Well, I guess it's called Cool Edge Night. But what I usually do with Unleashed is that I call it by the name of the country and then day or night. It's just a lot easier to remember. Like, the name of the country is associated with so many more things, while the name of the level is only associated with the levels. I don't know. You see what I mean? Like, you try to attack those ice things, and they're not breakable for some reason. Even though this is a level, a gameplay style that encourages you to break everything, some things can't be broken. And some things can't be explored, like you try to go into that igloo, and you can't. This is a level that was pretty annoying when I played it because, well, 4 minutes in, I had this really annoying combat section, and after that, I had no idea that, well, you'll see. Suffice to say, I did a lot of backtracking here because I didn't really know where I was supposed to go. See, those icicles can be broken. This level looks pretty samey, to be honest. Like, it's just trying the same thing as Apato's Night 3. Oh look! There's breakable walls! Only they're different this time, because they're made of ice now! Yeah, not that impressed. And again, I don't know why you can't just break them in one hit with a special attack or anything. It just feels like it pads out the level, and it's not very stimulating dealing with. And you're just dealing with the same annoying enemies that you had to deal with in Chun-Li. In the HD version of the game, I believe that it's kind of visually distracting how every time you collect rings in the HD version, like in the day stages I mean, the rings literally fly up to your ring counter, and they don't disappear from your view until they have entered the ring counter. And that's really visually distracting sometimes because your eye can be drawn to the rings flying up to your ring counter, and you can collect so many of them. I don't think that's a problem in the Wii version. The Wii version definitely has a much smaller emphasis on leveling up. Like, every time that you beat a level in the HD version, you're shown off multiple different stats that you can upgrade, depending on the amount of EXP crystals that you got from enemies. With the werehog, you can increase your strength, which is a really good idea. And you can also increase the amount of skills that you have, so you can get better moves. And you can also level up your shield, which is a waste of time, don't do it. And you can level up your health, and like stuff like that. And you can also freely switch between leveling up the werehog and Sonic at any time. So, while you can level up Sonic to make it so that he's faster and he has a better boost meter, I really wouldn't recommend wasting your experience on him until after you fully leveled up the werehog. So after you've beaten a day stage with Sonic, just switch to the werehog and give all of your experience to him. Like, a lot of playthroughs of this game don't accurately show off the Wii version because they just show off the Wii werehog levels being done by a fully upgraded werehog. So I'm glad that I've got something different. This is what I consider to be the worst part of the level. These snowballs have knockback that can knock you into a bottomless pit. Yeah, that's not cheap at all. It's so easy for them to hit you, and they take away so much of your health. And before them were some pretty annoying ice breath enemies that turn around so fast compared to how slowly the werehog moves that it really doesn't feel fair dealing with them. They can freeze you so easily. And like, I later went back to kill them because I thought maybe I had to do that to progress. And I found this section to be really annoying because by this point I had completely forgotten that you can actually pick up and throw the green wizards to damage them. At this point in the game, I was entirely relying on dash attacking them. I didn't realize realize that you had to pick them up and throw them because they look way too big to allow you to pick them up. Especially considering that for some reason you can't pick up the frog enemies. So why are these guys the exception? At least you can juggle them. Like that is something that's really that's a good strategy to deal with the enemies with. Just stun lock the enemies and juggle them constantly. That also makes it really easy to deal with the ice breath enemies. You just attack them from the sides or from behind and just constantly juggle them in the air until they die. It's like Super Smash Brothers. And here's where I got stuck. Because the camera was doing a terrible job of showing me that if I just went a little further and went to the left, that this area would be, like, to the left of me is the goal ring. But the camera is not showing me that. I don't know why the camera didn't just do an automatic cutscene where it, like, zoomed in on the goal ring after I beat all the enemies. You know, like how it did a cutscene for opening that door in Holoska Night, one of its levels. Instead, I'm just left to wander around confused because the camera doesn't show me that that's a cave and not a dead end. And even then, when you go into that cave, it's still technically a dead end. So how does the werehog end the level from a dead end? Are we left to assume that the werehog just calls up Tails on his plane and gets him to get him to the next level? Because if so, then what's the point of even going through this level at all, when you could just call up Tails and have him fly over all of the levels? Seriously, what? Come to think of it, that kind of destroys the point of Sonic going through these levels at all. Why does he go through these werehog levels when he could just get Tails to fly him over them? Like, you can't say he's doing that for fun because he hates his werehog form. So why would he bother with using it if he doesn't have to? Like, he prefers being fast, so I can understand why he preferred to go through the day stages just because they're fun. Like, that's something I like about Sonic, is that he has fun with his adventures. And that encourages the audience to have fun too. So it's always kind of a downer when you have characters that are telling him to stop having fun. Like Shark, or Caliburn, or Sally. And yeah, I went back to kill these enemies because I figured that maybe I wasn't able to beat the level because I hadn't beaten all the enemies in the level. Like, I didn't think that I would have this much of a huge backtracking problem again, but it happened. And again, it's a dead end. How does Sonic progress to the next level from here, other than getting Tails to fly him there in his plane? In which case, I don't understand what he accomplished by beating this level, like in the story. Oh, I guess he got the key? But that's a key to unlock a sun door. And a sun door mission, I mean. Because you unlock optional missions for the day stages and stuff after you beat the mandatory levels. So that's not part of the story. Well, I guess the in-game explanation for you going through the levels is that you need to do that to get the tablets that allow you to unlock the gates to progress with the game. I don't know why they're called tablets when they're nothing like phones or anything. Like, I've never heard of a jeweled ornament artifact thing being called a tablet. That's kind of weird. But anyways, this level is pretty samey compared to all of the other werehog levels we've seen. Like, practically everything that is into this level is something we've done before. Like, this is from Chunnan. Sometimes you swing around on flying enemies just like in Spagonia. It just decides to make itself different from the other werehog levels of Holoska, rather than unique by itself. I mean, these things are new. The ice breath shooters that kind of remind me of Death Mountain from Twilight Princess, where you dodge the steam. Only these ones are a lot more annoying because they can freeze you solid. But yeah, this is a pretty samey werehog level. Between the HD versions of Unleashed, the PlayStation version, ironically enough, runs at 60 frames per second. Like, a lot of times the PlayStation has a problem of bad frame rates, like like Sonic Heroes, for example. So that's pretty ironic. Like, Unleashed technically has a better frame rate on the PlayStation 3. But the problem is, because it runs at 60 frames per second, it contains a lot more noticeable frame rate dips. Although it also dips in the frame rate in the Xbox 360 release in certain areas. But like it's not nearly as noticeable when you're going from 30 frames a second to something else. Like 30 frames per second is generally more stable in games. Certain special effects such as Sonic speed dust particles are enhanced on the PlayStation 3 version. Although for some reason, various details like windmills in the distance are missing. It's really weird. I don't know why they would remove that for the PlayStation 3 version. It's like how in Sonic 06, only one version of the game had gondolas in Soliana. And that actually became a running gag in PokeCat's famous LP of the game. Like, they were constantly joking around at times about how they couldn't find the gondolas because they were playing the wrong version of the game. And like, I don't know why they would remove a aesthetical feature when porting a game. Like, did they not have enough time or something? I don't know. Anyways, character models are very slightly enriched on the PlayStation 3 version, while the Xbox version has smoother shading. The transition between day and night was also changed to be a silent screen showing the medals in the PlayStation 3 version, rather than having a black screen featuring Sonic's transformation like in the Xbox 360 version. So, is the PlayStation 3 version more powerful or not? Because it enriches the character models, but it also removes the transformation hub world cutscene. Anyways, between the SD versions, which means like the SD versions of the game are including the Wii version and the PlayStation 2 version, which I barely talk about for good reason. Obviously, the Wii version is regarded as the better among the two, because the PlayStation 2 version has less polygons and dimmer lighting. I honestly don't understand why they even made a PlayStation 2 version to begin with. What a waste of development! Was this tiny amount of extra sales really worth it to offset the costs and wasted time from making it? I mean, I don't understand. Like, anyone who is a fan of the PlayStation would have already moved on to the PlayStation 3 by that point. I don't know, it doesn't really make any sense to me. Like, why get the PS2 version when, like, this is from a consumer's perspective. Like, most people who play Unleashed play the HD version because they just assumed that the HD version would be better just because it would have better graphics. And so most of the people who played Unleashed, it's just assumed that the HD version is better because that's the version they decided to give a chance. They never gave the Wii version a chance. They just assumed that it has worse graphics and so it's worse. And there's also the fact that there's buyer loyalty. Like, you want to justify your purchase, so you want to think that your version of the game is superior. And like, I'll reaffirm over and over again, I think that the Wii version is better because of a huge amount of gameplay differences that, and like, the HD version added so much padding. Like, the Unleashed is going on long enough as it is, without the entire game being grinded to a halt because you have to find a whole bunch of medals to unlock the final level. Like, at least in the Wii version, you get medals by beating the levels, so it's impossible to miss out on them and hit a roadblock. Like, I don't know. I just prefer the Wii version. It's not just because I'm a Nintendo fan. It's also because I just feel like it's the better version of the game. Like, not graphically, obviously, but like, gameplay is what's really important here. Although, I guess the Wii version does create a plot hole. Or was it the HD version? Because either way, like, you see the cutscene where Eggman is like, I should have known you were alive, Sonic. But the confusing thing is that in the HD version, they had Eggman deal with Sonic before that because they were fighting him in his plane. So, the HD version creates a plot hole with the stupid tornado section because Eggman must have known that Sonic was alive because he was dealing with him in the plane. But in the next cutscene, he acts surprised that Sonic is still alive. Like, it really goes to show you that the HD version just added it into the game. Now we've got a kind of tense platforming section. Like, again, you got a lot of momentum in the air, so it's pretty easy for you to fall to your death when you're trying to land on tiny platforms. I really do like the aesthetic of this level, though. Like, there's got this really nice contrast between the bright ice and snow and the night sky. I think it looks really pretty. Like, Holoska is usually the best looking level in the game. Although Chun-Nan comes close. Yeah, these enemies are pretty dickishly placed. They're not like the wind fan enemies where you could just jump behind them and they're harmless. This one is right in your face, and you have to wait until he stops shooting ice at you before you can safely attack him. At least they don't blow you off of the stage. Instead, they just freeze you in place. And seriously, like, we've been going through this level for 8.5 minutes. I cannot stress enough, no Sonic level should last over 8.5 minutes. Sonic 3 Knuckles did it a lot, but at least with its levels, most of them I enjoyed to the point where I didn't mind that they lasted that long. The Werehog, not so much. Unfortunately, we've still got one more Werehog level after this. At least for Holoska anyways.